What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Friday was a very crappy day for the broader market. SoundHound just piggybacked off of that. As far as looking forward into this upcoming week, we do have a lot of big data. So we have tariffs that's going to be starting on April 2nd as well as April 3rd. Also have JOLT numbers that's coming out on Tuesday. Quite a few Fed speakers throughout the week, including yours truly, Powell on Friday. We have unemployment, non-farm payroll, and then as well the typical stuff on Thursday. So it is a very fun, packed week, but nonetheless, going into this upcoming week, there's just a hell of a lot of fear and anticipation that we're going to have lower lows. In my opinion, this might be unpopular of an opinion, of course, but I feel like this upcoming week you might have a recovery, only because Trump did state on Friday that he's open to negotiating with the tariffs, as crazy as that sounds. So a logical individual would assume that that is more so just a scare tactic. So he does truly, or I guess all these tariffs, in fact, were just a scare tactic just to prompt negotiations. Again, unpopular opinion, but if, let's say, he does state that, hey, we're knocking this tariff down to blah, 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 we're kind of reducing this tariff, canceling this one, market's going to love that, because that's what a lot of those doom and gloom analysts are forecasting. Of course, JOLT numbers, unemployment, that could of course move the broader market, but similar to what happened 3 weeks ago, Powell did reassure the broader market and said, hey, the data points are solid, and honestly, the tariffs might cause some damage, but that's yet to be seen. We have to wait for that data. He might say the exact same thing. So I think Friday might be a very green day, but throughout the week will be a lot of volatility, but I think overall it will be starting to move higher. That's just my own opinion, of course, so let me know your general thoughts to that. As far as SoundHound though, they've gone rather quiet on social media. They haven't done any posts since March the 25th, and that was rather odd. Normally they do multiple different posts, they respond to comments. They haven't done anything, so I think maybe they are going just radio silent, or they have nothing to kind of talk about. They're used to just going to all these conferences and events, and as far as I'm aware, they're not doing any of that this week, so it's maybe just radio silence. So let me know your viewpoint on that. As far as shorts going into this upcoming week, 32.53% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 116.71 million shares overall are being shorted. On Friday, shorts did increase 1.17 million, so kind of crazy stuff. Based on the options though, there was a consensus from the bull standpoint for it to be roughly around that 10 to 10.50. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 8. So as far as the risk versus reward standpoint, definitely there's a lot more upside anticipated. Open interest, so you don't really have any crazy walls aside from, I'd say, maybe that 10,000 if you want to consider 4,000 really a heavy wall, but there won't be any crazy resistance essentially for this. So if SoundHound does have a good catalyst, it should be able to move up, and if the market's kind of rebounding, that'll only benefit it as well. But aside from that though, on a technical standpoint, with $8.50, it is trading between this S1 and this S2. So $6.96 is that strong support based on the fib levels, and then $8.87. So at least in the short term, you really want to watch for on Monday for it to get above this S1. So I think in general, the technicals going into this week look rather dismal. And as I said in my video yesterday or on Friday, that the technicals are insinuating that roughly like $6, $7 is coming. So if there is that good recovery, broader market wise, then yes, you'll be able to, it'll be the saving grace for SoundHound. But keep in mind, going into this week, the technicals don't look all that great, so you really want to watch for it to get above this 887 early on in the day and then set the trajectory for pretty much the rest. So 887 and then 1197 is going to be the next strong kind of target slash resistance points on the actual chart itself. So you have that $8.62 200-day moving average. That is a very key pivot. So of course it did close below that on Friday. I think Friday was just a hell of a lot of fear. So I think at the end of the day though, it will recover. So you kind of have this wedge bound between that ALMA and that 200-day moving average. So 907 is going to be also another element, another key point to really get over. And if so, then you could see a very nice push higher, fill the gap for the most part. But like I said, it's all going to come down to market sentiment. And if the market feels what has been happening over the last couple of trading days is justified or not. One thing that I will be doing a video over this weekend on is this right here. So Resolve AI. So I've done a couple of videos in the past, but even just looking here at their recent news, they have been doing a lot of acquisitions, and that's something that SoundHound I feel needs to really do. They need to step up that. They need to innovate. They can't just sit back and anticipate the market to say, hey, I want SoundHound right now. They need to kind of market themselves better. I've stated this as far as some constructive criticism against them, but they don't really portray to the market, hey, you need us right now. Resolve does that. The only negative side of Resolve is they've not submitted any earnings, so we have absolutely zero clue what they're all about behind the scenes. So they might be acquiring tons of companies with just pure debt and not earning any money. So again, take all that with a grain of salt. But I feel like Resolve definitely is better at PR and marketing themselves than SoundHound. So I feel like they could learn a little bit, a thing or two from that. So yeah, I think all in all, this should be a fairly good week. But no matter what, it will all come down to market sentiment, data points, and just take note of some of the strong support and resistance points. So let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon and give buy signals on stocks, options, or crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.